Yeah, music good. All right, guys, here we are, red, white, and ruthless. As promised, we've got Frank West with us today. As you recall on my post, Frank and I go way back to grade school. So we've been friends a long time. We obviously connected on Facebook, been Facebook friends for a long time. We both have very similar political ideologies, and I thought it would be fun to have Frank on here and me and him kind of chop it up about our thoughts about the current political climate in the world, in the USA, and whatever we want to talk about. That's what we're going to talk about. So, Frank, you got anything you want to say to start it off, get us going, and words of wisdom?
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody, and to you, Scott. Nice to see you. It's been about 35, 40 years, but still good to see you and talk with you. I appreciate you having me on the podcast. I'm a Trump supporter, a mega believer. I believe in the United States of America. I believe that the United States of America has been in a shambles for about the last 4 to 5 years, maybe 6 years, because they kind of stuck it in Trump's ass his first 4 years after 2 years. With that being said, though, I'd like to say something real quick about our former president, Joe Biden. Joe Biden, even though he's an incestuous pedophile who molested his own daughter, a career criminal, a political grifter, a lifelong compulsive liar, a treasonous traitor who tried to destroy this country. And worst of all, he's utterly incompetent, and he caused the deaths of thousands of people. With all that being said, my prayers do go out to him and his family for what's going on with his health issues. I'm a cancer survivor, and I hope that he's able to beat this. So with that being said, God bless.
Thank you, Frank. As always, you're very to the point. I appreciate that and agree with you on every single one of those points. Yeah. So yes, and I posted on my Facebook too, Frank. You probably saw it that cancer is a terrible, terrible disease, and I don't wish it on anybody, and that is inclusive of liberals, whether it's Joe Biden or anyone else. And I think that's the difference between one of the many differences between liberals and Republicans. I mean, liberals, anybody who was on social media after the attempted assassination of President Trump knew that. I mean, it just made you sick how they were celebrating the attempted murder of an American citizen and future president. It just was disgusting.
I found it disgusting as well. And if you don't find it disgusting, anybody out there that wouldn't, there's something wrong, because they're doing this stuff. Whoever tried to kill him on national television during one of his infamous rallies, which they hate, they being the liberal lefty side. And with that being said, I know a couple Democrats that are good Democrats that are thinking like we do. What the hell's going on with these people? But when they start wanting to murder people and they don't have a problem with it, we have a problem,
right?
In society with that, because it's kind of like this Luigi guy that killed this Prince guy. People are celebrating this shit, and yet this guy killed somebody. And we all saw it. You don't even have to try him, but you're going to have to, because you got to give just cause. But it's everybody says, oh, we need to come together, which I believe, but can we? After everything that's been thrown at the conservative side of the country, it's really difficult to think about how everybody's going to come together when, just 6 years ago, if you walk down the street with a red hat on, you might get your ass whipped or have to fight.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I'm a 60-year-old guy that you knock my hat off, we're going to go, but I don't want that. I don't want that in my life. I'm going to walk down the street. I can look over at this clown over here that's wearing a Joe Biden hat and go, okay, that's cool. Yeah. Don't knock my hat off, or little things like that. It just got to be, as they separated, and now they want to. Everybody needs to get along.
Yeah, I wouldn't even think about commenting on a person who's got a Biden bumper sticker or a Biden hat or whatever. I mean, I'd agree with it, but it wouldn't be like, oh, I feel obligated to disrespect you, and so on and so forth. I mean, that's just extreme and ridiculous. I
Yeah.
don't understand it. But so today, so I'm glad we got off on that little subject there, because that was a good segue into it, and I'm glad we mentioned that, because people who celebrate the attempted murder of anybody need to do some self-reflection.
They,
But
they they really do. That's a good. I like the way you said that, because I mean, to me, as I'm sure to you, life's valuable, and for
yeah,
somebody out there to say that it's not, whether it be Trump, Biden, Chuck Schumer, fucking Nancy Pelosi,
yeah,
life's still important. Do we
right,
like those people? Probably not, but
right,
come on now. It's all about living and living a productive life. Obviously, these people's lives are way, way, way into the money that they've stolen and things like that. But
right.
it's still life.
Yeah,
I don't.
and I think as far as the political system we have, I mean, there's definitely, I guess, issues with it, but I think it's very fair. I mean, when you look at conservatives or Republicans versus Democrats, it's kind of a yin and yang kind of thing, where not so. So I'll say this: there are some Republican beliefs that are very, very extreme, and I may not fully support, those extreme views. And then there are obviously, some Democratic beliefs that are super extreme. So I think when we're able to come together and say, okay, yeah, yeah, we're right kind of in the middle now, and let's just sort out this middle part of what we disagree with, and move on with something we can all work with. So I think I think it's a great system. But somehow this Trump was just really infuriated, a big part of this country, and I think it is and I think it was 100% because of how the Democrats and some Republicans,
Yeah.
Liz Cheney. I mean, she's nuts. And some Republicans portrayed him to the American public. This is a guy that was celebrated years ago by everyone in the country. Everybody loved this dude. And then when he decided that he was going to become a Republican candidate for president, all of a sudden he's a racist, and he's this and that, and he's doing it for his. I mean, he's the only president who lost money while he was president. I mean, come
Yeah.
on, he's doing it for his own benefit. I mean, I don't know what that is. Then
Yeah.
it's just insane.
And when he first ran, I went to Las Vegas, which is up the road an hour and a half, and we went and saw him. And we had all the fucking idiots out there walking along the street, throwing shit at us and saying shit. And we went in and we saw him, and he started telling us what was really going on. And that's where I've been saying this for about 30 years. Nobody likes the truth. And so once the truth came out,
Yeah.
these lefties, they're like, wait a minute. He started, even if you remember the debates, like when he started in about George Bush and stuff, Bush's brother,
Yeah.
whatever his name was, he freaked out. Whoa, what are you telling him? Yeah, Jeb.
Jeb.
Yeah, he started showing, and they don't like that. And I told my wife when he was about a year into it, I go, I hope he can beat this machine. He's putting chinks in it. And in 2 years, they go, that's enough. As you know, for 2 years, they handcuffed him. So he leaves.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he was smart, and his people were smart for the last 4 years while dipshit was running the show. He sat out there and figured out how to do this and get the right people in place. Put his daughter-in-law in front of the RNC so that cheating stuff will come to a stop or slow it down. And I think he's doing the right thing this time. He's done a couple things I kind of raised my eyebrows. Yeah, okay, but that's normal. They're not going to do everything they like.
Right.
He's the lesser of two evils. I think he's super smart. I think he loves his country. I think he loves us. And that's most important. I don't believe the Democrats love their constituents. I don't believe that. I think they use their constituents.
Well, look at, and again, we're getting into something I wanted to talk about, is USAID.
Mm-hmm.
To me, when the abuse of taxpayer money was uncovered, number one, I can't believe that anybody has a problem with whether it's Elon Musk or somebody else. I don't give a shit. But just figuring out where all this money, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars, just where it's going. That's the only thing they're discovering. And, they're canceling some ridiculous things that that we were spending money on. But why would anybody? I mean, it's like balancing your checkbook. Where'd my money go? Okay, now and recognizing, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't have spent, like me, $800 on Amazon last month or whatever, and that's what he's doing. But I think what we figured out is that was the Democrats' piggy bank right there. There's a lot of money. Yeah.
It's their piggy bank. And what they do is they'll say, okay, we found, let's just throw a number out there, make it easy. We found $10 million going to these veterinarian dipshits that are putting mustaches on dogs and stuff. Okay. Well, yeah, you might have gave 10 million for that. But what you did is you took, and of course the numbers are much higher than that. But what they did is they took 9.8 million for themselves and gave 200,000 to these fucking veterinarians that are destroying dogs or whatever the hell they're doing, the Faucis. Right. And then if you go back, if you look, okay, so Doge, they claim, and it's probably more now because I'm looking at some old numbers. They claim to save $160 billion with a B. Okay. However, and now isn't this weird? CBS News, who kind of cheated during the election with Kamala Harris. They say, now get this. They say, well, it's only 135 billion. Well, what the fuck is the difference if it's 135 or 160 billion? And then you turn around and you have NPR, another great one, who goes, oh, no, it's only 63 billion. Well, you know what? We're still in the billions. Billions. So you know that, it's just crazy to me that, like you say, that nobody out here would go, fuck, they're saving us some money. Let's put that money towards us, our people, our country, our things.
Did you catch the... and here's what really concerns me too. Did you catch the Joe Rogan podcast with Elon Musk, the most recent one?
No, I missed.
Okay, so you got to listen to it because towards the end of it, Elon Musk was Joe Rogan was talking to him and asking him, some specifics about where the corruption was and so on. And Elon Musk was fearful for his life. I mean, he said that he was worried about being killed. Yeah, he's worried about being killed because of the corruption that he's discovered. And he didn't want to talk about it. I mean, he was trying to be as open as possible, but he's flat out said that they will kill me. And that concerns me. We've got the richest guy in the world who could afford the best security, in the world that we should be paying for as taxpayers. I have no problem with that. And this guy is literally scared for his life because he's simply finding out where our money's going. Now, if that's corruption. Yeah,
that's corruption. I'm surprised. I hate to talk about this with Trump. I'm surprised he hadn't got hit yet either. But thank God he hasn't. And I mean, not thank goodness, thank God he hasn't been touched yet. But don't put it past these fuckers. They're seriously evil. And with what they wanted to do to us on TV, I happened to be driving down the road. And my wife, Wendy, she popped up that thing on her phone. And immediately I heard gunshots. And I go, oh, somebody's shooting at him. I didn't even have to hear it, look at it. Because I know, I'm a gun runner.
Yeah.
And we raced home. And this is what's weird. We raced home to see if he was okay. And we were sitting there in our living room, hugging each other going, oh, good, he's okay. Which is a great feeling to finally have somebody that leaves our country that we feel that way about, because felt that way since Reagan, and there's some stuff with Reagan that I found out recently that I'm looking at him sideways going, yeah, you're kind of an asshole too. But with that being said, he's still a good president. I think you and I in our lifetime since 1965, I think we're looking at the greatest president in our history.
Oh, I totally agree with you.
But I also know that there are going to be, he's going to fuck up. It happens. He's not a politician, so we have to deal with that. But that's okay. He's out for the country and the best interests of the American people.
Totally agree with you. It's just it's too bad that I don't think I've ever been as concerned about the potential assassination of a president as I am right now, and that's scary. That we shouldn't be in that place in this country, supposedly the greatest country on earth, and we're worried about our president being killed. That's third world shit right there.
Yeah, and here's the really fucked up part. So all the presidents that have been shot or killed, when I say shot, Reagan, Ford, isn't it kind of weird? They're all Republicans.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Not
it's crazy.
Democrat has been assassinated. I'm not calling for that, but I'm saying, isn't that kind of weird when you start looking at things?
Yeah.
And it's kind of a silly little thing when you start looking at it that way. And then, somebody will see this and go, that guy's a fucking idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Oh, no, it's the truth. And that's just how it is. These it's always a Republican that gets shot or killed. So now I'm not going to say that Gabby Giffords, God bless her, she's over here in Arizona. She's a Mark, whatever that guy's name is, his wife. She was shot. She wasn't killed. She was shot. So I'm off a little bit. There's a Democrat that was shot, and that wasn't right either. Yeah. But I don't think anybody needs to be shot and killed.
No. Yeah, nobody. That's exactly the point. Is nobody needs to be shot and killed. We should be able to run this country and disagree and move on. Hey, shit's going to change 4 years from now, or just under. They're going to have another opportunity. And that's the way the country works. So
I believe this is what I'm telling everybody that I'm in association with. I believe that there's going to be another election in 4 years. But in mine and your lifetime, we're never going to see those guys in office again as long as we live. Now, after we go, I think we got control now, and they finally figured out how to do it.
Well,
if they can get along.
Yeah, I think that I think probably things are gonna as the closer we're obviously just into Trump's second term, but I think as we get closer, we're gonna see some superstars in the. Trying to let me another drink. We're going to see some superstars step forward in the Republican Party. You know what? I love the way JD Vance talks. He is a really great speaker, and he doesn't take a lot of shit either. And I like that. And I hope he pays attention, as I'm sure he will, over the next 4 years to Trump and what Trump's got going, because that's really the key to keeping the Republican base happy with how you operate. Look at Trump and look at Trump's faults, and then correct yourself and model that. And I think we have an outstanding potential with JD Vance, and there's some other ones. I think Rubio is doing a great job too.
We have a pretty deep lineup. We've got, to use a baseball analogy, we've got Vance, we've got Cruz, we've got Rubio, we've got Nancy Mace, we've got Lauren Boebert, and it just keeps going. Okay. Now there's some, I'm going to say this real quick, because I want to say this. A good friend of mine here in Arizona, his name's Benny Garcia. Me and this guy are tight. We worked at UPS. He works at UPS now. We worked for FedEx for years. He told me when I first met him 15, maybe 16 years ago, we were sitting around talking politics, and he looks at me and he goes, the one guy we got to watch out for is, God damn it, I forgot his name. No, McConnell, the turtle. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And I looked at him and I go, he's all right. He's all right. Let me tell you something. Benny, if you're watching, when you watch tonight, if you watch this, that guy was dead on 100%. And I didn't believe it at first, but I started studying. And so, hey, Benny, if you're watching, you were dead on that one. That guy is not good. And I want to see him get out. I don't think he's running anymore, but still.
Yeah, I think he announced that he's done fairly recently, because he didn't he freeze up at the podium, and they had to pull him off, and
he did something like this.
Yeah, he just got stuck. He was like, your computer's stuck, and
he was what's that called? He was buffering.
Yeah, he was buffering. Exactly. I hate to make fun of him, but I'm gonna. He was fucking buffering.
Yeah, he was buffering. I don't like making fun of him either, but you know what, Scott? For 4 fucking years, those people did shit to us. So now
I agree.
sit back
Yeah.
and we watch the news and laugh our asses off at the things
Yeah.
they're trying to, they're singing and they're, get out of here.
Oh my gosh. Every time it's just comedic. Every fucking time they do it, they create a new song. I mean, does
Dude.
anybody tell them don't make songs anymore, But
Yeah, this isn't our fucking 8th grade class where we're singing some songs trying to see who's going to be the social chairman.
Oh,
God,
God. It's so hilarious, though. It's so hilarious.
Well, that's what
Yeah.
I've really been enjoying the 120 days it's been going on. I just sit back and go, okay. Some of it I get sick of, but
it's like every day is Christmas, when you watch the news, it's like, holy shit, what happened today?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know who it was, whether it be the Democrats or their voter base. I don't know who it was, but there was a poll taken as to who they believe is the strongest or the leader of the Democrat, because they don't have leadership right now.
Oh, no.
Who's leading? Who's leading them? Everybody's. I don't say everybody, but there's several of them that are, I don't think, intentionally trying to take control, but they're just doing things that draws attention to them. So the question was, who's the leader of the Democratic Party? And it was AOC, dude. AOC was the winner, and I was like, oh my God, we're definitely winning next time.
Oh, dude, yeah, I'm like,
change.
Right on. I'm glad that old bartender's the bad thing about her. And this is what I say to everybody about AOC. Here's where America's fucked up. The only reason she wins is because she's good looking. That's it.
Yeah.
She's dumber than shit, but she's good looking, and then people will go, oh, she's cute. I'm gonna vote for her.
She had that. Did you see that video she made of her dancing on the roof of that building? I think that won. That's what won her. She was cute in this little video, dancing all over and shaking her boobs and all that. And next thing you know, she's a politician. I'm like, okay, that's great, man. That's great.
Yeah, and they'll tell you, oh, those are deep fakes and all this bullshit. Where the guys hold her up, she's farting and a flame out her ass. These are the people they want to put in charge of us.
Exactly.
Just sit here and look at this crap and just crack up. And I'm all about AOC. You're the leader of the Democrats. Bring it on, man.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't mind.
No, I'm good with it. I love that Trump can put a Trump 28 hat out and just completely upend them.
You know what I mean? God. Yeah, it's hilarious.
And which Trump is that going to be? Is that going to be his older sons, his youngest son? Is going to be his daughter-in-law?
Oh, I know, dude. That's what I was seeing. So first of all, his acceptance speech was amazing. I thought, loved every minute of it. And then when I'm looking at the people that he was surrounded by, all I saw really was potential future leaders. That's what I saw, because even with Barron Trump, I mean, the dude's got like this kid is 17, but he's got like this cool factor, and I don't know what he said. Did you catch that where he said something to Biden?
Yeah, he went over and said something over or something like that.
Yeah. He said, and then his mom says, be nice or something.
Which is what a mama's going to say.
That's stone cold right there when he's checking the president or the former president of the United States. That's some good stuff right there.
Well, think about that. That little guy, he was a little kid, dude. He was a little guy when his dad became president. And then he's got to hear this shit and see all this hateful rhetoric towards his pop. So he's going, wait a minute. I'm going to say something to that man. That old man was...
that's what at 17 you got testosterone, man. You want to check a fool who's been talking shit about your family for years, and that was his opportunity, and he took it. God bless him for doing it. I fucking love it, man. I love it.
Hell yeah, dude.
Good for him.
Yeah, I love that stuff, man. Stepping up for his dad and saying, hey, you know what, I still can't, dude. I'm almost speechless on. Why did you guys fuck with this guy? This guy, he left his home life to take care of us and help this country, and he's doing a great job. Like I said, and I'll say it always. Does he screw up? Well, yes, but so do I. So do you. We make mistakes. Just keep them to a minimum. But these lefties, man, they're vicious. They're vicious. I've had these motherfuckers come to my house and try to cut my signs and shit down. And I'm like, whoa, what are you doing?
Oh,
You're going to get me in trouble now. You're going to do that, and you're going to make me have to show my ass, which I don't like. My father-in-law, he was out in North Carolina, God bless him. He's same thing. He put a Trump sign out. He said something on Facebook. These dudes found his address and, they start hassling him. It's like, dude, this guy's an old man. What are you doing? He's just stating his opinion, So I get kind of irritated with that because, dude, these people state their opinion. I don't go to anybody's house and to them, or if I see them in the, I'll tell you real quick. I don't want to get off subject, but talking about harassment, I was in a Cracker Barrel, dude. Okay, so I eat, and I'm walking around looking in the gift shop, and some purple-haired freak bumps into me, and she bumps into me. I kind of touch her like this, I go, oh, hey, sorry about that, excuse me, and she yells at the top of her lungs, don't fucking touch me. So I looked at her and I got about this close to her and I go, I will fucking touch you whenever I fucking want to. And it unloaded. Here come her conservative parents. Please, please, please stop. Please don't hurt her. Like, I'm not going to hurt her, but nobody yells in my face without it coming back, and they just lose it.
Right.
You could probably look at me and know, but don't touch me. Shit, you down near knocked me over. I was trying to keep you from falling over. It's being normal behavior. And it's just, we see it,
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about a few of the policies that Trump had that seem to be fairly contentious, and I don't think I understand why. Other than I think anything that Trump supports, Democrats, liberals, whatever, they're not going to like. But the first one I want to talk a little bit about is border security and immigration. And if you look at throughout Biden's tenure as president, it was a constant influx. I think the numbers vary, but 10 to 20 million, who the hell knows exactly, because nobody really took track of it. And if they did or kept track of it, but if they did, I don't trust their numbers anyway.
No.
So we had, and he seemed to understand. Well, they said they understood the importance of a secure border, and they understood that the American people want a secure border, and they just weren't doing it. So now, the funny thing was, it's not really even funny. It's just ridiculous that they would say that it was going to take a congressional act or laws or what have you to actually secure the border. Now, of course, we had the wall being built by Trump. That's going up again. That they stopped, and it was a shitty deal that they tried to sell all the material before. In the last couple months before Trump, took out. Once Trump won, they were trying to sell it as pennies on the dollar, so it would make it more expensive and more difficult to get the wall going again. So there's a number of things they did, despite knowing that the American people wanted border security. They worked against the American people. So I wanted to kind of, get your take on your thoughts about how that went, how the Democrats handled it, and what's going on now. We know that Trump, once he got in office, we're 100 days in and it's like a 98% cut in the amount of people coming over, which is absolutely amazing. I wouldn't have expected that. So what's your take on that?
Well, when it comes to border security, I'm a little bit different. So people are going to hear this and go, oh, goddamn, he's crazy. But it's not. So let's talk about another country, just one that I kind of know about. If you go to Guatemala, you and I take off right now, we go to the border of Mexico. We're getting in with the proper paperwork, etc. We go through Mexico, we do our thing. We're going to go to Guatemala. But we don't have the proper paperwork now. We get down there, we've been drinking, we lose some shit. We're going to try and go through their border. They're going to kill you. They're going to shoot you and kill you because they don't want invaders. Right. So what I don't understand about our country, I understand why they did it. I get it, and I'll go to that. But what I don't understand about our country is if you remember this, and I'm sure you do, because we remember a lot of this stuff. When it's maybe in the last 6 months of Biden's presidency, all of a sudden they storm the border, they come running across, and our guys are so afraid to do anything because they're going to be filmed, they're going to be fired, they're going to be maybe even possibly jailed. They can't even protect the border correctly. Where, in my opinion, my own opinion, we need to be more forceful at the border. You come across the border without coming through the correct door, you're fucking out of here, dude. Either we're going to catch you and throw you out, and if we can't catch you, we're going to shoot your ass, and you're done. Done. You're out. Right. You know, and if we don't kill you, we'll get you the correct medical help, and then we'll get rid of you. Because you come here correctly, because we make that possible for anybody that wants to come into America. Back in the old days, back when we were in, I don't know, Mrs. North's class, what did they tell us about Ellis Island? You had to come here, you had to assimilate, learn the language. You do that. Where they fucked up is when they let all those idiots in back in the day, when they said, oh, we're going to let all these guys in without firing a shot and blah, blah, blah. They've come in here, instead of assimilating into what we do, they want to bring their shit here, which they're escaping. Perfect example, Ilhan Omar, that pig.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Here she is in a concentration camp. And hey, I don't think anybody needs to live in a concentration camp. So they bring her here, and she brings all that fucking garbage with her that they do in Somalia. Well, I thought you wanted to leave Somalia because of that crap. Right. So here she comes, marries her brother, does all this weird crap, and then wants to assimilate her ideas into us. So I have a problem with that. And I have a problem with the way that the United States government, including right now, handles this stuff. You know, I think Trump's trying to get a handle on it, but as he's handling the South side, now the North side's getting fucked up. Now they're going, okay, we'll send them through there because somebody somewhere has got an agenda to get those fuckers in here.
Right.
Now everybody says, oh, it's still they'll vote Democrat, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And it's irritating because this is our country. And why do other countries get to Israel, for example? You go sneaking into Israel, you're not sneaking in. You know what I mean? So there's where I stand on that. You know, we need to have better, more strict border security. You want to come through the door that says open and follow the rules? Great. You want to come through the door that says get the fuck out? You don't get to come through that door. And if you do, you got to pay the price. Now, if you get in, here's my thing about illegals too. If you get in, and you get here and you're out there and you're supportive and you're making money and you're doing things for the economy and you're not killing, raping, pillaging people, then do the right thing and get your paperwork in order and and be a citizen. But if you're a fuck up, you got to go, man.
Yeah, I think we could do a better job of making the pathway to citizenship a little. I don't know, quicker, I guess. I don't know.
Quicker.
So I think there's some really good people with good intentions who are trying to get to America, but they started off a bad way by coming in illegally. So that needs to stop. But on our part, if we could somehow figure out how to better solve the issue of the timeliness it takes to become an American citizen. I wish that's something we could work on. But it doesn't include allowing people who are already here illegally to stay. I just don't think that's beneficial, even though I'm sure there are probably good people here that are going to suffer from it. And when I say suffer, they made the choice. Okay, I didn't make that for them. They chose to come here illegally. And so they took that risk. So they need to go, and that's a crime. So you need to go, and that's where you need to go willingly.
Yeah, and that's where it kind of sounds weird with the way I'm saying it. I'm like, okay, if you get here, you're productive. I get it. However, you did break one of our laws, a federal law, not a state law, not some fucking county law, but you broke a federal law by coming here illegally. If you haven't rectified that by the time they catch up to you, you need to go, man. And I'm sorry if you've been here 25 years and all that kind of shit. Now that kind of goes back to the 14th Amendment with the birthright thing. Okay, now this is where it gets a little weird for me. If these two people sneak in, they're over here, they're living, They lived here for 10 years, 12 years. They have a baby. I'm kind of with the 14th Amendment on that.
Yeah.
That they should, in my opinion, maybe they should be a citizen. Now,
Right.
I mean, I'd sure hate for some Americans, which I don't hear this happening much, sneaking into Japan and all of a sudden, their kid's not going to be a Japanese citizen. But because I'm pretty sure, I don't know that the law is there, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works there too. If you're born in Japan, let's say, I believe that you become a citizen there. I'm not 100% on that, so everybody that's watching, don't quote and don't leave the shitty comments. You don't know what the hell you're talking about, because I really don't. But from what I understand, so I'm kind of torn on that, because if you're illegal and you're getting kicked out, that kid needs to be with you.
Right.
So you know what I mean? So it's that 14th Amendment weird birthright thing.
Well, you know what the part of the problem is, and I don't want to say I experienced this, is I became aware of it when I lived down close to the border in California. And they would literally bring pregnant, obviously women. Well, I guess it's not so fucking obvious anymore, but pregnant women across the border, and they would just drop, when they were close to being or in labor, very close to that point, and they would just drop them at the hospital, and then that child, when born, would become an American citizen. But very, recently before that, they were in Mexico. So I don't like that aspect of it, that and number one, it creates a burden on our economy, because now that hospital's got to, they're not going to pay for the birth and all that stuff.
Nope.
So I'm that part I'm not in love with, where it's, the healthcare issue, where there's, obviously no insurance, obviously no intent to pay. They just get dumped, and then they're an American citizen. So I don't have the answer to that. I think it's an issue though that needs to be addressed as part of this whole birthright thing, because your scenario is a little different. Your scenario is, hey, these folks have potentially been positive folks, part of society for a number of years, and they start a family, and they give birth to a child, and that child, where is that child? What's going to be the citizenship of that child? Clearly, if they're born in the United States, another country is probably, you'd have to apply for citizenship to that country if we wouldn't allow it here. So I don't know what the answer to that one is either.
See, that's where you brought up some good points right there, because let's say a couple of Mexican citizens sneak in, they're here, they start a family, and that child becomes, by the 14th Amendment, becomes an American citizen. Now, is it going to be a Mexican citizen too, or does it have to apply for citizenship there? Or is it just only an American citizen? That's where it kind of fucks with me, and I'm not sure how that works. Now, I'm a believer in certain amendments, and in pretty much all of them, because these guys who were felons wrote all these amendments. Right. So they knew to protect us. So there's certain little things. Now, over 250 goddamn years, things have changed, and it's kind of like when they wrote the Second Amendment. There weren't a bunch of ARs running around and shit.
Right. Exactly.
So however, again, all our believers that are watching us, I'm a Second Amendment lover, but some of those rules were written 250 years ago. So it's kind of a ticky-tacky thing when it comes to all of them. Every amendment's different.
Yeah.
But, I'm a believer in the American Constitution and the amendments. However, I don't want to see somebody abusing that amendment or that law. Right. And that's what it seems like these fuckers are doing, is they ticky-tacky things. And this is where Trump got smart. He pulled all those attorneys in, like that one, Elena Abbas or whatever it is. Yeah. Smart. So he pulls these in to go and circumvent what they're doing to us, because they're going and finding all the little legal loopholes, which, hey, I give it to them. These Democrats, dude, we may not like them, but they're smart. Right. And they know, you know what I mean? It's kind of like the schools. They knew a long time ago. We go, fuck the schools. Oh, the Democrats go, no, let's go to the schools because then we can start.
Yeah, exactly. We were asleep at the wheel on that.
Yeah, we weren't thinking.
They got entrenched in those schools, and wow, yeah, we shit the bed on that.
And then made it a federal thing where he's trying to turn it into a state thing, which is going to be better because if the states are in control of the schools and the Board of Education, each state's going to want to compete against this state, that state, and be better.
Right.
Where the United States goes, hey, we're going to allow you to be a girl if you're a boy.
Yeah.
Parents, come on.
It's ridiculous.
Shit like that's got to stop.
Yeah, I totally agree. Hey, so we're gonna switch gears here, and I want to talk to you about, and we've touched bases a little bit on the subject of just being, just being Republicans or MAGA or what have you, and I'm gonna go a little deeper into that and talk about. So I started this podcast because number one, I saw a lot of misinformation going out to the public, and I'm sitting here, I'll be watching the news or, reading social media or what have you. And I'm just like, that's bullshit. That's not true. That's not accurate. And then I'll talk to people. And one of the people that I really enjoyed talking to was actually my sister, because she was one of the first people who she's not either Democrat or Republican. She wanted to do what's right, and she's got a good heart. And it's my sister Beth, and she was very easy to talk to, and she was a little apprehensive of talking because she knows I'm MAGA, but I'm like, no, this is great conversation because I don't get to talk to people. They get pissed so quick. So we talked about some things that she had heard, and right away I said, no, that's not true, and some of the things she was concerned about, and we talked about the J6, stuff and just misinformation. So I really wanted to start this. I wanted to do something. And so I was like, dang, I talk a lot of stuff on my Facebook, and I was like, man, I should, and I floated it out there, just kind of bullshitting, is I should start my own podcast. And then there was a lot of people that was like, yeah, man, I mean, you're laying it out there all the time, and you definitely should do it. So I did that, and doing that, it kind of exposes you to some negativity periodically. And you know that, just being a MAGA supporter, Trump supporter, Republican, what have you, it exposed you to negativity. And then when you make the choice of talking in public and talking over the internet on a podcast and stuff, there's lots of people who sit back and they've got nothing going on, and they think their job is to criticize. And how do you handle that? And so most of it I've ignored. Some of it is like, man, how could you, how do you do that? You've got nothing going on yourself. So, but you want to talk about what I've got going on, and there's a lot of thought I put into every podcast. I do a lot of research. I do a lot of thinking about exactly how I want it to go, what I want to do, and so on. And I try to make it positive. And I do my best to do the best job I can. But then you get assholes who just want to be negative. So to get to my point, I've got a new award that I would like to, I want to bring it in as part of the Red, White, and Ruthless podcast series. And it's what we're going to call it the Dipshit Award, for people who say stupid shit, and people who do stupid shit. And it could go to anybody, because there's a lot of dipshits around to give it to. So in this case, I had done one of my very first interviews, and he had made the comment about, he would have done it a lot different, and I wasn't a good interviewer and so on. Now, many people would say just ignore it and blah blah blah, and I agree with that ideology, but I don't do that often. I think sometimes people need to be corrected and dealt with. And so how can I do that? How can I do that? So I thought, you know what? Let's honor this idiot with the dipshit award. That the number one, the first, and definitely not going to be the only, is going to go to Kurt Phillips, the dipshit award winner of Red, White, and Ruthless. And I'm going to see how this comes out. There he is.
There he is.
There's the Red, White, and Ruthless dipshit award. There's Kurt in all his glory.
Ding, ding.
His trophy is behind him. And what we're going to do to honor Kurt is this right here. I got to remove him. And then we're going to do this to him. We're going to cut, because I don't need followers like this dipshit. Okay. If you want to come and be a bitch and whine about how I do me, then you get cut, because I don't need you as a follower. Okay. He hasn't taken the hint. He's still running his mouth. So we get to cut him. And that's the glory of having. He actually said nobody listens to your podcast to hear your opinion. I mean, that's probably the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard. This whole fucking podcast is about my opinion. So he is a dipshit, and he gets to win that award. And Frank, if you'll listen for just a second, I've created a song because I wanted to make this special for Kurt.
And what's his name again?
So, Kurt Phillips. Yeah,
Kurt Phillips. Okay.
Yeah.
Like
So
Kurt.
he's a dipshit.
Okay.
So I created a song for him, and I'm going to play it. I'm going to play about half of it.
Okay.
And let's listen by with me, and here it is. I love it.
Yo, Kurt Phillips got the crown of shame. Complaints in his arsenal, nothing else in his name. No hands in the work, no sweat on his brow. Just sideline talk like he's king somehow. Sipping haterade on his couch of despair. Pointing fingers at others like he's got a flare. Doesn't make a move, doesn't take a stand. Just a critic in shadows with nothing but demands. And the dipshit award, yeah, it's his tonight.
Dipshit award.
But the dimmest light, no backbone shown, just a hollow fight. He rides in the dark but can't face the bright.
I'm glad that I hope Kurt's watching.
He will be. He can't help himself.
For now, he's watching. I'm with you, bro. I've had to block some people out too.
Yeah.
The art of disdain, but no foundation in his big complaint game. Talk is cheap, but he spends it all. Building towers of grapes only to watch them fall. No bricks of truth, no mortar of drive. Just a maze of nothing where he tries to thrive. And the dipshit award, yeah, it's his tonight. For the loudest mouth, but the dimmest light. No backbone.
All right. We played enough. We played enough of this dipshit.
I got some people that need that dipshit award. We'll have to talk about that.
Yeah. Oh, let's get rid of him. Let me see here.
Perfect.
All right, there he goes. I spent enough time on
I
Kurt.
appreciate being the first person to get here and hear the dipshit award.
Yeah, there'll be some more, but I thought about because he is friends with a friend of mine, and I thought, well, do I want to do that? But then he didn't have a problem because I'm friends with the same person, so he didn't have a problem, so I didn't have a problem. So there we are. Kurt Phillips, congratulations. We honored you today on the Red, White, and Ruthless podcast with the very first, but certainly not the last dipshit award. Congratulations, Kurt. I wish I had a little button I could push for applause, and damn it. There you go. Thank you very much. So that's fantastic. That's as much time as I want to give to Kurt. Tomorrow or the next day, whenever I fucking feel like it, I'm going to cut his ass off, and I'm going to have one less follower, and I don't give a shit.
I'll get you 50 more followers.
There we go. Anyway, moving on. We've got a number of, so this is going great, by the way, brother. I appreciate your input. Fantastic input. I love it.
Appreciate you having me on, buddy.
Absolutely. I'm having fun. So our next subject has been really hot in the news. And again, it's tariffs. And I guess I understand the concern with tariffs, but then I don't understand. So what Trump has done and is said essentially he's he's laying the framework of forcing countries who are screwing us in tariffs to come to the table and make better trade deals with the United States. We have the biggest economy in the world by far. China's not really even close. We're like a third. China's like 18 trillion and we're like 28 trillion. So they're not really even that close. China is number 2 though. But so that's what Trump has done. He's, these people think that if he established like he did with China, 100 and whatever it was, 50%, blah, blah. No, he's forcing China. China was going to self-destruct if they didn't, agree to a trade deal with the United States. They just couldn't hang in there. So, and they're smart. I mean, the Chinese, nobody wants to be enemies and be in a big trade war and all that shit. And Chinese are smart, man. They're, they knew, of course they want to save face and they don't want to, bow to Trump. And I get all that. But in the end, it's about the almighty dollar. And so of course, Trump, is going to make a deal, and he's done that. And with the other countries as well. And I think what people don't understand about tariffs is initially when you establish, well, first of all, the United States had some of the lowest tariffs of the entire world. If you're familiar at all with what tariffs were before Trump, countries would have, 50 to 100 times, I don't know about 100, but extreme tariffs on the United States. And our tariffs average, I think, was about 12%. And I maybe even be high on that. So what Trump is doing is reciprocal tariffs. So this is what you're going to charge us. We're going to charge you the same. That's how it started. But tariffs in general are a benefit to the United States because you take a country like China, and we'll use China. Their workforce is very cheap. I mean, I don't know how many kids are working in China, but you always hear they got the sweatshops working and they're paying them 50 cents a day and whatever. So naturally, the products that they sell are going to be a lot cheaper than American products because we have labor rules in the United States. So how we equalize that to make the American products more desirable and more economically friendly is we establish a tariff. And so to sell your Chinese, stuff to the United States, you're going to pay a tariff that is going to equalize what people spend. So so if you want to buy American, you have an American option at a very close economical price. And the other thing it does, if you want to avoid the tariff completely, because there's a lot of companies that build their factories in other countries. Purely because, number one, the United States had low tariffs, and in the countries that they were building in had high tariffs. So then they would just build their factories in the country that they sold the most and had the higher tariffs, and they would make a lot of money that way. So what Trump did is he's like, hey, I'm going to use the same fucking formula. We all know what it is we're going to raise our tariffs. We're the most economic. We thrive in America. And so we're going to make it beneficial for you. And we're going to make trade deals with you. So build a factory here. We'll give you tax breaks. We'll do all this shit. Well, you won't have the tariffs and all that shit. And so it's a long-term strategy, not necessarily a short-term strategy. Although there's some short-term gain in there as well. But what it's about is American jobs. And people, I think Democrats get it, but they don't want to get it. And I think there is some people who truly don't get it and don't understand, oh, that's just another tax that now we're going to have to pay more. I think Amazon just came out with, they're going to post on their site how much the tariffs added to the price, with whatever Amazon wants to do, they want to do. It's kind of an anti-Trump thing, kind of a fuck you to Trump, but whatever. So I don't know. What's your thoughts on how we're dealing? I don't know if you're into the tariff situation a lot, but what are your thoughts on that?
With my business, I am into the tariff thing because some of my stuff comes from that area of the world. But here's my thing on tariffs. If you don't want to pay a tariff, don't buy it. And so long before income tax, and I'm sure you already know this, long before income tax, that's how our country dealt with all this bullshit, was off tariffs. And that seemed to work. Well, obviously, it's working with the way that Trump did it, because all of a sudden 100 and some odd countries are coming to the table. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Now you have your hardcores, the European Union, that don't want to play. Well, we don't buy shit from them anyway. So, you know,
Right.
what I mean? What cars are they sending over here? But you go back to the China thing, and obviously it put the hurt on them, because now they want to come to the table and work, and they're trying to work this tariff thing out. And if you can do the reciprocal tariffs, I believe that's the way to go, because why should one country charge the shit out of us, but another country doesn't, or we don't back? So, you know, when it comes to reciprocal, once again, why would anybody American citizen wise be irritated with this? It's saving us all money. It's helping our economy. It's helping our country, where we live and where we thrive. So I'm all about the tariffs. And I believe that if the tariffs come in correctly, that with everything he's doing, we'll see the demise of income tax, which in my mind, I love that.
Well, that's what seems to be what he's trying to do, is really use the tariff system to be able to reduce the income tax of Americans. And who can't be for that? You know, I don't think that he's trying to replace it with a higher, you know, cost of living. I think he's trying to get, number one, more jobs into America. And I mean, look at the what he's done recently with over in the Middle East. I mean, he's got trillions of dollars, you know, coming to America from the Middle East. We're making friends in the Middle East like we've never made before. I mean, they love Trump over there. They fucking love this. Did you see in I don't know, they call it Qatar. I've heard it Qatar. I've heard of Qatar. So I don't know which one's the right one, but we know where we're talking about. He was just there, and I mean, they rolled out the presidential, you know, welcome wagon for this dude like nobody else has, you know. So they love Trump over there, and we made some deals over there, and of course, you know, we got to talk about the fucking plane. They're making a big deal about what is it? I want to say a $400 million plane that they're giving to the United States. And like it's some payoff or something. I mean, it's just insane. How much money do we give away to other countries? And some country wants to give us something. And I mean, so how much was it military equipment did Joe Biden give to Afghanistan and the terrorists over there when we cut out? It was, you know, almost $1 billion. Yeah, billions of dollars. I don't remember how much it was, but he left planes and helicopters and guns and ammo, and I mean, you name it, he left it. But nobody had a problem with that. But we get a little $400 million plane to replace a 40-year-old fucking plane, and all of a sudden it's a problem. So yeah, I mean, go ahead.
I'm with you on that. It's a 40-year-old plane our president's flying around on. It's bad enough we're flying around on 40-year-old planes. That's why I don't like flying. You know, I
had no idea that the president flew in a 40-year-old plane. That just shouldn't happen. You know, they should have. It just should not happen. You know, and so why it's got to this? Well, we know he started the replacement process for that in his previous term. We know that, and then Biden shit the bed when he got involved because Trump started it, so they didn't want to finish it. So there's been all kind of delays and shit with Boeing. And now we've got this plane, and it'll be completely, you know, I heard, what dipshit was it? It was Pence who was talking about the plane and saying, it doesn't meet the standards of the blah, blah, blah. Well, no kidding, dipshit. They've already said they're going to have to completely strip this plane down, and they're going to have to retrofit it with all kinds of, you know, extra shit to protect the president. But I mean, do you really think that they would have had the technology that we have hit the button here. The technology that we have to outfit our presidential, that's just dumb. And number two, You don't give anything to the president and not make sure there's not little electronic devices on this motherfucker that's going to hear everything he's got to say. They're going to have to go through this thing with a fine tooth comb. Every nut and bolt, every single thing. So it's a plane, but it's an engine and the shell, and that's what they're going to end up with, which is worth a lot of money, but they're still going to have to go through it. I think it was just a ridiculous thing to argue about when somebody's trying to. I believe they were trying to do something nice for the United States because they want us to be their friend and we want to be theirs too.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm kind of blown away by that too. It's like, was anybody crying when the French gave us the Statue of Liberty? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. Should we give that back too? I'm sure there are some liberals that would definitely want to do that. They're tearing down statues and they're, doing all kinds of shit. Yeah. Give it back. Give everything back. Well, when
you think about it, over the last 4 years before Trump came in for his second term, was anybody doing anything for us? Was anybody giving us $1 trillion deals? Was anybody giving us, hey, we're going to move our companies back to America and things like that? Hell no, because they don't want to work with that guy. They knew. And it's amazing to watch how Trump is just pulling deals, man. He's getting deals left and right. Yeah. And bringing stuff back to America,
Yeah, I feel like we have a country that is respected and feared at the same time. And that's the way that's a great way to be right there. Respected
Absolutely.
And feared, because you fuck around with America, that
you're going to find out.
you are going to find out. And,
exactly.
But if you are our friend and you treat us as a friend should treat us, then we're going to be your greatest ally, And I think Canada had to find out. I think Mexico had to find out a little bit too, of the border issues and shit. We literally defend Canada. We defend Canada. Billions and billions of dollars are spent on the defense of Canada. Canada doesn't have a military, for God's sake, And Trump and realistically, would it be great for Canada to become the 51st state? If you take away the pride of being your own country and you purely look at it from an economic and standpoint and a defense standpoint, and it makes absolute sense. But you have to put those things in your pocket and say it's okay that Canada is not, we're not our own country anymore. We're part of a bigger and better thing. And you have to admit you're not a bigger and better thing, and you're gonna be involved in a bigger and better thing. And they don't want, and I don't know that I blame them for that. Maybe I would feel the same way if I was Canadian, but maybe if they felt some of the things that we're giving them for free and they had to pay for it, maybe they'll think differently. I don't know. But I don't think that Canada should get a free ride on their defense. I think they should pay for it. We're defending them. They should pay for it.
Absolutely.
Those kind of things need to go away. We can't be the protector of, and I guess it's a great segue into the Ukraine. The $180 billion we spent on Ukraine and gave them to defend their own country. We can't be that country, or I don't want to be that country that just gives this money away. And they expect it now. They absolutely expect. When Zelensky, he expected us to write that check. He didn't just want it, he expected it. And that kind of pisses me off that there's no, when Trump was talking about the mineral deal and things like that, how are you going to pay us back for this $180 billion? There was no intention. Matter of fact, he was making deals to pay back European Union countries, but not America.
Yeah, exactly. And he's making these deals with these guys to pay back, but not us, and then disrespecting us in our White House, and et cetera. Zelensky, Zelensky's, I don't know, when this all started, 4 or 5 years ago, I would see these people, come on Facebook and put the flag up for the Ukrainians. And I wanted to reach out and say, do you understand the
Yeah.
Ukraine is the one country in the world that's the money laundering country of the world? And
Yeah.
this is where all our bad people go, the Bidens, et cetera. This is where they hang out. And this is where they're able to move their money around with a cocaine addict. You know, when people go, Frank, he's not a cocaine addict. That guy's coked out. When he was sitting in the White House, he was maintaining, dude. That's what he was doing. You know, he's trying to maintain. Oh, fuck, people are watching me. Oh, you know, the shit we did when we were 16 trying to maintain.
Right.
You know, fuck, dude.
When that first started, when the Ukraine-Russian war first started, I was, you know, I didn't know anything about why it started, or I wasn't into it. What I saw was, and what was sold to me was Russia just attacked a weaker former state of the, of the Soviet Union to get them back in line with the rest of what they had before. And there was some, like the Crimean Peninsula that had a military base, and they wanted that, and there was some other things that that they wanted, and it just seemed like they were getting, I guess in a way to put it was just bullied. So I kind of felt for him to start out, but then I started looking into why it all happened, and started looking into that, and then I began to kind of understand that Russia has a beef with the way they were dealt with after the former Soviet Union became, just Russia, and these other smaller countries, started, opening up and flourishing and so on, and wanting to be part of NATO. And that was a deal we had made with Russia, that they wouldn't do that, because, and I could understand this, is Russia, Russia views NATO as their enemy, or NATO countries as their enemy, because we view them as our enemy.
Absolutely.
And so they don't want NATO weapons. They don't want nuclear weapons. They don't want anything on their border. And that was an agreement we made with them. And it wasn't I say agreement. It was essentially a handshake agreement when, many, many years ago. And I did a whole podcast on this and talked about it. But we're the ones that went back on that. And you could certainly say that Russia has gone back on agreements and this, that, and the other. But to me, this was a very big deal. And Russia warned us, told us, and not just America, he told the countries that were becoming involved, that, hey, we're not going to allow you to be part of NATO. And they've went to war before over it. So surprise, surprise, there's a war in Ukraine, and when they were trying to fast track Ukraine into NATO. So that is going to be, part of whatever type of agreement they end up that ends up closing this war out, is that Ukraine will never be part of NATO. You can guarantee that. And now I think what they're doing is just arguing over, because Russia's obviously taken control of portions of Ukraine. Now they're arguing over who gets what, and there's some very costly minerals and things of that nature, power plants, and some very lucrative factories and so on that have been taken over, that Ukraine wants and that Russia wants, and they need to work all that shit out. But I guarantee you that part of the deal will be the Ukraine he never becomes part of NATO. And if we would have agreed on that, I don't think there would ever been a war. But instead, we did just the opposite.
Yeah, I think there's a part of our government that wants them to be NATO, but in my opinion, I say we pull out of there and let them be. And
right. How does that really benefit us? I mean, I mean, I'm being genuine in the question, is I don't really know. First of all, I think that the Ukraine is ran by a lot of crooks.
Absolutely.
They've only now said, you remember when Trump first took office in this year, that they've only received about half of the $180 million, or excuse me, $1 billion that we say we've sent them. But they never said shit about it before. But only now half that fucking money is, where is it? If you didn't receive it, where is it? So we need to track that shit down.
Yeah, I've been wondering where that money is going to.
Yeah. So, and we know for a fact that there has been, high level, I don't know, politicians in the Ukrainian government that have benefited from the money that we've sent them. We know that.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So are they really concerned about their country? If they were, they wouldn't take a fucking dime of the money that we're giving them. So exactly. I think we need to get to the bottom of that shit. And I don't think we should send them any more money. I think it's time to end this war. And if we keep giving them money, it's motivation to keep the war going. They've proven that. They keep cashing our checks, and only half of it goes toward the war effort, and the other half goes to line their pockets. So we got to stop doing that.
Absolutely. Hey, you're going to edit this later, right? Because I got to go to the bathroom.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, bro.
Give me a minute.
I will.
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Thought about wearing it. Depends.
No worries.
Last.
No worries.
Sorry about that.
So, no worries. So we're going to probably go about another 15, maybe 20 minutes. And
Perfect.
we're not going to probably get through everything, but I'd like to, this is going great, in my opinion. So I'd like to have you on like another time in a few weeks or
Absolutely.
so. And we can chop it up again, just like we're doing now on some more shit, if that's cool with you.
Yeah, heck yeah.
I think it's good. Yeah, I think it's going great. You got some great input, and we're flowing really, really well too. So,
awesome.
So yeah, let's plan on doing that. So we'll go. I'll get it started. Back now. I'll just make an announcement that we're going back on. But yeah, and I'll edit that out, and then we'll plan on another few weeks. Sound good?
Yeah. Okay. Heck yeah, dude. I'm game.
All right. Okay, so we're back on the air. We had to take a little break, so now we are back, and we were talking about Ukraine, and we're talking about how we're losing a lot of money over there. And I think we're both, Frank. I think we're both in agreement that we think we're going the right direction. I think what happened. I think Trump was very. I think he was very convinced that he would be able to stop this war very quickly. He said he would, but I think you also have two countries that don't want to stop the war, and it's very difficult to stop a war where both people want to continue fighting.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
I think Putin. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're right.
I think Putin wants that piece of land, and I think he wants it for the minerals that we just signed an agreement with this guy. And as most agreements go, when they're world agreements, they change.
Yeah.
But I believe that Putin wants that land, and I think Putin knows that Zelensky's not a good guy. So I think that's what's going on there. Now, I did notice the news a little bit ago that Trump has had some phone calls with Putin, and there's allegedly a ceasefire, but we know how that goes.
Yeah.
I really think that Zelensky is the main culprit in the whole thing. I think that they spend a lot of money in the money laundering business in Ukraine. I believe, from what I've read and know, I believe that Ukraine might be the most corrupt country in the world, and we're looking at a comedian, dude, that runs that country.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It'd be like Jerry Seinfeld taking over our country. I don't think so. You know what I mean? Nothing against Jerry Seinfeld, but I'm just saying, I'm like, Jerry Seinfeld or Bert Kreischer running our country? Come on.
Yeah.
So here's this clown, and like I said earlier, in the White House a few weeks ago, maintaining, because he's so whiffed out, that he didn't know what the hell was going on. And they're making a deal with him, and it's kind of weird. It's almost like you say, like they want the war. I think Putin wants the war because he wants the land, I think Zelensky wants the war because he wants the money.
Right.
His wife bought a $5 million car,
Yeah, I don't know how. Well, I do know now how you get rich running a country. Just when your salary, like our own, in the United States, how do these people get rich? When their salary, is $175,000 approximately a year, and they're worth tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. It doesn't make sense. But now we know. I mean, we've given them 180 million, and half of it's missing, and all of a sudden Zelensky's old lady's buying $1 million car, and so we know. We know. So we need to take that into account. And I think Trump, when he decided, hey, y'all want to fight? Get down, man. It ain't in my part of the world, and sometimes you got to keep fighting and make sure it's not worth it to either one of you. And then at that point, you'll figure out you want to stop. The one good thing I think came out of this is I think Russia did get exposed a little bit. They're not. I mean, clearly, if they dropped a couple nukes on Ukraine, the war would be over instantaneously. But that's not the world we live in. You can't do that. No country can do that and expect to survive. So what you have to do is you have to do exactly what they're doing and fight it out in non-nuclear with non-nuclear weapons. And Russia has been exposed. They're not really, they can't beat them in a short amount of time, which is what I thought would probably happen. You've got this big Russian military machine that to kind of shit the bed. I mean, they're winning now, and I think they would win in the future, but they're not doing it in a manner that I think shows that the rest of the world that we need to fear Russia. We fear Russia because they've got the most nuclear weapons of any country in the world. Aside from that, I don't think their military is one that we should be. I mean, they're pulling guys out of the prisons for cannon fodder, essentially, and that's not what a country with one of the most powerful militaries in the world does. So,
correct. Yeah, I'm kind of. It's almost like that whole little situation's like a little fucked up thing that they're doing, and I'm with you on that. It's not our part of the world. Do your thing. I'm all about. Some people don't like this, but I'm all about bringing our guys home. Right. The fences up. This is our country.
Yeah.
You need some help. You need some help. We'll come police you. But other than that, this is ours.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think, and that's what I think Trump is realized is like you can put so much effort into Ukraine and Russia, and then they can if they're not ready to stop, they're just not going to stop. There's nothing that you can do. So that's where they're at. And I mean, I guess that's okay. It's sad because there's a lot of people getting killed. I think that there was like, I don't know if this is accurate. I heard like 5,000 a day, but I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Yeah, it's kind of fucked
seems,
up over there.
Yeah, but I mean, it's suffice to say, there's a lot of people getting killed, and they need to end this war and bring everybody home. And hey, let's just fucking get along, man.
Exactly.
I don't know what else to do.
It's once you start getting into those areas of the world, it is so fucked up because they've been around for thousands of years and they have their own weird thoughts that they, that belongs to me and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Where we're relatively new at 250 years, we're going, whoa.
Right.
In my opinion, I think we should be more, hey, we'll be over here, and if you need us, we'll help you. But this giving money away and supporting everybody around the world, that shit's old, and we've seen it our whole lives, and
so I'm sorry to interrupt you, bro. Go ahead.
You're fine.
Yeah. So I wanted to kind of brought something to mind. We're talking about, the wars, and I want to talk about Gaza and Israel for a second. And one of the things that I thought was super fucking interesting, and I just saw, my mind kind of ran it through, and I saw it as a Trump tactic. And that is when Trump started talking about the United States taking over Gaza and essentially building like a Trump world over there, or some shit. Yeah, exactly. And to me, that was like Trump fucking with people. That was like 100%. I'm going to fuck with these people, and I'm going to get them thinking they do not want the United States taking over Gaza. And what would happen then? Because surely, I mean, let's be honest, if the United States took over Gaza, we would fortify that motherfucker, and nobody's going to come in. I mean, I'm sure there would be terrorists and shit like that, like there is everywhere, but they'd never get it back. That would be game over. If let's say that became, 51st state, game fucking over. Their Gaza is gone. So in my mind, that was like Trump saying, all right, I'm going to throw these fuckers a curveball, and I'm going to throw this out there and see that. So what happened then is you got people a lot more fucking interested in talking about ending this war and shit like that. And of course, we just got I think our last hostage back, American hostage back, and the terrorists of Hamas over there is a little more willing to talk to the United States, and we want to be friends and all that kind of shit. So people got all up in arms over that, but I viewed it as just a Trump tactic. Sometimes he says shit, but he's 2 moves ahead.
Absolutely. He's saying shit about this over here while he's over here working on something.
Right.
Because he has to, because these fuckers will put him in court on everything. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So he'll say something, but really he has no intention of doing that. But he knows the reaction that he's going to get just by saying it. So to me, that was 100%. Did he really want to take over Gaza? There's no way that I believe that he really wanted to do it. But did he want the reaction that he got over saying it? Hell yeah, he did.
Yeah, that's a lot of what.
Yeah, that's the art of the deal bullshit right there. I mean, that's thinking ahead to 2 steps ahead while you're 2 steps behind. And
absolutely, that's why he's doing that's why he's doing the 3rd term thing. He's got them so screwed up.
Yeah.
The minute he says anything, oh my God, their hair's on fire and they're running. They don't know what to do with him. I'm loving it. I'm loving what's going on. I like it because we had to deal with some stupid shit for 4 years. I was up in Henderson, Nevada, which is Vegas, and during the COVID bullshit. And I don't wear masks. I don't take shots.
Right.
I don't wear masks.
Right.
I don't give a fuck. Yeah. So me and my wife and my son were walking into a Winco, and they're like, "Look, we don't want any fucking problems. We're gonna put our masks on." I go, "Go ahead." So they put their masks on, dude. And so as we're walking in, the security guard looks and he points. He goes, "Hey, you!" And I look at him. I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "Not you, the guy behind you." He goes, "Put your fucking mask on, right?" So I'm looking at him like, "Whoa!" He didn't say anything to me, so I just walk in. For the next hour as we shop, dude, I got nothing but the stares. Oh, where's your mask? Well, I don't participate,
Right.
And then in Arizona, I'm a concealed weapons permit
Right.
carrier. So, which you don't have to be here, but I still do. So,
Right.
so I walked into a Big Five, and I go walking in, and this lady goes, hey, you don't have your mask on, So I just keep walking, and I get to the shoes, and I'm looking around, and she goes, you don't have your mask on. I go, it's illegal for me to wear a mask. She goes, what? I go, Arizona is the only state that didn't change their laws on concealed weapons permits. And because I have a concealed weapon permit, I'm not allowed to wear a mask. That's against the rules, or I'll lose my permit. And she looked at me. She goes, you have to put a mask on in here. And I go, you don't have what I need, so I'm out of here. But so it's one of those things. You know what I mean? It's this constant, let's fuck with these guys. Right. And here it is our turn, but we don't get to. We get to, but we don't. They get upset. Right. But once again, I'm having fun watching everything go down. The only reason I even watch the news now is just to see what did he do next.
I know it's that first like 30 days, especially with all the executive orders and all the appointments and all this shit is like, oh man, every day is like, I was telling my wife, man, every day is like Christmas, man. I wake up and some new shit's happening. And, I think that, you put people in place like Pam Bondi as the AG and Kash Patel, the FBI. These people are perfect selections for people who are going to actually do something, and they're doing it for the citizens. We've had so many. That dude, I can't. Was it Garland that was ahead of the border?
Yeah, Merrick.
Merrick Garland. Yeah, he was such a piece of shit, man. He would just sit there and lie. Just sit there and absolutely lie. And it just drives me insane is everyone knows he's lying and he just sits there and so same thing with Fauci, he's a fucking lying piece of shit, and
these guys lie. And here's what happens. These poor idiots out here in the world that really start believing that shit. They fall into it and they start believing it. You hear it long enough and you'll believe that crap. It's the weak mind that do that.
When you tell a lie enough, it becomes truth to some people, And then I do believe that, some people, many people, I think, and liberals know that what they're saying is a lie, but they're okay with it, and I don't understand that. I don't see how it's helpful to running a country when you're running it based on a bunch of fucking lies. I don't understand it, but that's what they do.
Yeah, I don't get that either. I'm a believer in the truth, and I've always said that the truth hurts, and it does. Hey, I've been told some truths that I don't like, but it's how it goes, And it's better to be truthful because once you lie, you got to lie again, and you got to lie again to cover that shit.
Yeah,
and as you see it happening right in front of us.
Yeah, and it just it's kind of we're in a sad situation where we're dealing. They're like the lies they tell about Trump, and it's just so infuriating that this guy has to put up with some of the shit that has been said about him, and like the Russian collusion thing. Why hasn't somebody gone to jail over that shit? It just infuriates me.
Yeah, that perplexes me too. It's already been drawn out that was nothing but a fucking lie.
Yeah, they've already done the investigation.
And and you're over here, what? Nothing. Nobody ever got touched on it. Old Hillary, she started it and did all this shit, and she's a dangerous person as it is, and yet nothing happens. But boy, they'll pound that man. They'll pound that man. They'll pound us Republicans. They don't give a shit. They'll they'll come after us, and if we come after them, we're the bad guys and we're bullies and all this bullshit.
One question I had, and it's a little off course I guess it's in line with what we're talking about, is the USAID money. I keep hearing that went directly to Chelsea Clinton's wedding and for her house or her mansion, they call it.
Her mansion, yeah.
So I've never heard that wasn't true. And I would really like to know if that, because I saw it on X, and I'm sure that it was Elon Musk that had posted it. I want to know if, so far it seems like it's true. I've never heard it wasn't true. And if that is true, I think she should go to jail.
I think she should have to go to jail as well. I haven't heard that it's not true either. And it's kind of funny, since we've heard these things, everybody's gone silent on that side.
Right.
It's just the weirdest thing. I noticed today that Hillary, all of a sudden, she's coming forward today talking about if a Republican becomes a president, a female Republican becomes a president, how don't give in to the hierarchy of the men, blah blah blah. It's like, look, you lost, you suck, you're a fucking thief and a murderer and everything else. I mean, it's kind of weird when you're a person of interest in over 100 murders. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you did them, but it means they're looking at you for some reason, and nothing's going to happen. The machine, my grandfather told me this about 40 years ago. He said, look, this machine's rough. It's going to be rough before anybody can get through it. Will we? I hope so, but they're tough, dude. They're tough. Yeah. You can sit there and dent them, but when they've had enough, they'll flatten you, and I'm hoping they don't flatten Trump this time like they did last time.
I think he's surrounded himself. He's insulated himself with people he can trust this time.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I think he did his research, and he didn't really care about opinions. He didn't have to take anybody's advice on who to hire and who to appoint. I think he's done his job, and he's not afraid to pull the trigger on firing somebody either. So I think he's did a much better job in that, and I don't fault him for the first time. I mean, he said it himself. He's like, hey, this is Washington, D.C. ain't my territory, man. I'm a New York guy, and I get there, and people are recommending this person, that person. I end up with some, disloyal pieces of shit, and and it hurt me. So he spent 4 years, doing his research on these people, and he ends up appointing people that he can trust. So I'm glad of that.
Yeah, me too. Because he didn't know the first time. He did not know. Yeah,
but on the subject of arresting politicians, I kind of go back. I do go back and forth on that, as I think the country as a whole does not benefit by putting politicians in jail, but because like with Trump, you have these fabricated charges that end up, I don't know. I think he's going to beat pretty much everything on appeal. But I just don't feel like it's a great direction when everybody who is or was a politician we look to put in jail after. I think people are just not going to, good people are just not going to do it. If we keep on that road. But the flip side of that is you've got this USAID, which is probably the biggest money laundering, corrupt issue or criminal behavior in the history of the world that's just happened. And I think people do need to go to jail. So I go back and forth on that. But I think that since the Democrats started this, you want to put our president in jail, I feel like we need to show them we'll put your people in jail too. And then let's talk if all of this shit was worth it afterwards. So I don't know.
I agree with that. I'm not about necessarily putting politicians in jail as well, but if you're fucking up, you got to go.
Yeah.
You're breaking the law. And there's some Republicans out there,
I agree. I don't care. Yeah, I don't care what political party they're affiliated with. If they are corrupt, put them in jail. That's the only way we're going to get back to, to America first. It's really the only way.
We spoke about McConnell earlier. There's a guy that's corrupt. I just lost it. I had a guy that I was thinking of that's corrupt in there. Another Lindsey Graham.
Oh, Lindsey Graham.
That guy is not a good guy, man. I lived back in North Carolina for years, and I watched this clown in South Carolina, and I used to sit there and think, this he's full of shit. He's lying to us, man. And then you watch how he votes. I took some shit down here in Arizona because I supported Kirsten Sinema, and people go, you're out of your mind. But if you listen to her, and now she's out because the Democrats killed her, she's out. But she knew what the fuck was going on. Even as a Democrat, she was a moderate, and she voted 83% of the time with Trump during that first term.
Right.
Well, she knew what was going on. She might have been a dumb shit and done stupid stuff, but
Right.
when it came down to the votes, she was somebody we needed in there. Now people look at me like I'm crazy, and I've been told I'm crazy. What are you doing talking to her and dealing with her and not Carrie Lake? Well, I've lived here for a long time, and I've paid attention. I'm still not trusting Carrie Lake. Not yet. Now it can change. But and they just shit on these people if they even do anything right.
Yeah, I've wondered about the whole Carrie Lake situation because outwardly, when I hear her talk, and I mean, I want to support her, but there's got to be a reason why she's not being elected. And I'm not saying that's right, wrong, or indifferent. I still don't know. But I tend to, I tend to go on the side of Carrie Lake. But again, I'm not. There's a reason why she's not being elected, and I just don't know what that is.
Well, she was one of the biggest Obama supporters for years down here in Arizona. We
watched. Oh, really?
Yeah, she was a major newscaster, dude. She was like when we were kids, watching Stan Atkins.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
She's big time here. Now, could she have changed and seen light? Absolutely, and I hope she has. Yeah. However, there's a few things that she's done and said that we're all kind of going, I don't know, Right. Now, other people that don't live here see this kind of shit and go, Frank, what are you doing? She's the shit. Well, I've lived here and watched her. So it's, you know what I mean? I'm not a Kirsten Sinema fan, but she voted with us on a lot of stuff. And I took a lot of shit from a lot of people on saying she's not bad. I don't support her, but she's not bad. You know what I mean? She was more for us.
There can be Democrats that aren't bad. I mean, I would vote. I vote Republican, but I can see a situation where if I believed a Democrat was the better candidate, I wouldn't just not vote for him or her because they're a Democrat. I want to do what vote the way I think is right. I think we both agree on that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we've got to get this. I think, and we're going to close this out with these. We've gone about over an hour and a half now, about an hour and 40. So here's kind of the question I've been when I have these political podcasts. The major thing, and we might have touched on it a little bit already, but I want to ask you the direct question, what your thoughts are on it, is some way we have to get this country back to the point where it's okay if you vote Democrat and it's okay if you vote Republican because we're all Americans. And I don't know how that is. There's so much divisive talk and it's just crazy. So what are your thoughts? How do we get there?
Well, with that being said, I know we have to get back to the country to get along. I get all that. My whole thing is I sit back and I just watch, and I'm not sure how it all came about this way, but it's back to what you said about when Trump came in. He started showing Americans what the other party was doing, and all the nefarious bullshit, etc. And I mean, I'm having a hard time wondering how we're all going to get back together and get along. And we should, because we're all Americans. We're all about it. Like 9/11, everybody came together right then. And I would love to see a come together moment, but I'm having a hard time trying to figure out how that's going to happen with the vitriol and the negative crap that's been strewn at us. Now we're going to go back again. You being harassed by people, me being harassed by people, my wife being harassed by people, just for our views. So I'm kind of in a dilemma of how we're going to configure that to fix that to where we can all say, hey, we're Americans, let's do this right. And we all need to get together and do it correctly. I just can't. I'm having a hard time wondering how that's going to come about.
Who definitely plays a huge role in all of it is the media. The media, and this is, I don't even know if and I hate to say unfixable, but when you have media like CNN and MSNBC who work so absolutely hard to try and steer the direction of whatever you believe in by changing the news. I mean, they're not just reporting the news, they're changing the news. I mean, I think that has to change. And I think this election was a big fuck you to the fake media. That I think people were saying, hey, we know what you're doing. But they're still just vicious. They're absolutely vicious. And I don't know, we're not gonna fix it this time, this presidency. I know that there's just not enough time. I think the news has to start, because it's really all about, the news is all about the money, so it has to start, and it is costing them. I mean, CNN's, viewership is shit. It's nothing, I mean, everybody, Fox News is killing everybody.
Absolutely.
And I don't always agree with the way Fox News does things either, but they're the better news source of the choices we have. And of course, we've got Newsmax now, and we've got, some other news sources that I think need to be, they need to continue to grow and so on. And we need to get back to where they're just reporting the news, just the facts. Not slanting it and trying to create this volatile country that they're creating. But I don't know how, how we get there. I think some of it is, Trump sued him when they lied about him. I think that needs to happen more. He just threatened the other day about this plane deal. He threatened to sue. I can't remember. I think it was MSNBC, but I might be wrong. But he threatened to sue one of them, and he warned them. He says, I just pocketed, I don't know, it was like 14 million, 20 million. I don't know what it was, but he told them from one of the news organizations. So don't make me do the same thing to you. But I think that's it's a big part of why there's such a divide, is they're so absolutely volatile, and they want to create that volatile atmosphere for this country, and they're just it's terrible for this country for them to continue to do it.
Yeah, well, the media, like you said, started the volatile bullshit, and then what happens is we finally figure it out after a year or two and go, whoa, and now we won't listen to them. We don't, we just put our hands up and go, fuck you, and then now they're pissed. You know what I mean? Now they're really pissed because their agenda is not working for them.
Right.
And that's what it all is. It's an agenda. And
they stick with it. They stick with it. That's the thing, is they stick with the same agenda. Even though, their viewership is just dropped to nothing, they keep pushing the same agenda. And it just amazes me. And there's enough people that, that watch them, because really it's the core shitheads of the liberal party is a small number who are really the volatile ones out there creating, this dissent. Those are the ones that are hardcore CNN and, and so forth. But I don't know, man. It's a tough, I guess it's a tough question. And I haven't heard, I certainly don't have the answer, and I don't know what the answer is, but it needs to stop.
Yeah, it does. And it's sad when I go back to 40 years ago, I was at an A's game, and I'm out there, me and my wife were out there, we're having a barbecue, and we want to smoke a joint before we go into the game. And, we're young people, and we're waiting around, and there's some people next to us that they're kind of hanging around, kind of the same thing. And next thing you know, we're like, hey, look, we're here. We just want to smoke one before we go in. What are you guys doing out here? And they're like, hey, you know what? We do too. They're a bunch of Grateful Dead fans. These guys were fucking lefties. Dude, we got along so great. We went in. We had a fun time. We ended up sitting by each other. Total liberals, us total conservatives. But we all had a great time, like the old days.
Right.
Where you could go in and go, it doesn't even matter. Who cares who you vote for and shit?
Right.
Where today, somebody tells me I'm a Biden fan. I'm over here to get the fuck out of here. I don't want you around me. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's kind of sad because they don't want us around them either. And we didn't start it. And there is a difference. There's us and there's them. And people don't want to hear that. And I'd love to have us all come together, but I have a hard time with that, dude.
Yeah. I don't know what that answer is for sure.
Yeah, I'm kind of in in a perplexed situation with that. In our 60th year, dude, we don't know really what to do. We're like, whoa,
Right.
we don't know what to do with people, you know, and they don't know what to do with us. We don't know what to do with them. And it's sad because we're all humans and we're all Americans, the ones that are important like that. I'm not downgrading anybody by any means, but
Sure.
You know, as citizens of the United States.
Yeah.
So kind of.
I agree. Well, we have gone an hour and 45 minutes, so it's gone by quick, man.
Yeah.
So we've talked. I love the flow of this. So we're gonna have you on. We're gonna have you on again, and we're gonna talk about some other bullshit. And I've enjoyed the back and forth. So
I've enjoyed it, Scott. I remember that first day in Mrs. North's room when I met you, man. That was a long time ago, buddy.
Many years ago, brother.
And,
so yeah, let's do this again. Well, obviously we'll keep in touch, and I'll holler at you when we get something else again together. But we're gonna close it out. I'm gonna play my song as we go out, as I always do. And Frank, it's been a pleasure, and we will talk to you soon. And you take care of yourself. All right, brother.
It's been a pleasure. Hello, everybody from Camino Union School.
Exactly.
And, I love all of you.
All right, man.
Love you, brother. Have a good one.
All right, bro. You too. All right, people. Peace out.